Welcome back. Well, this weekend the Labor Party will finally decide who will take the helm of the party leading into next year's election, well, I hope. In a first for a major political party in this country, the contenders have spent the last 3 weeks in a kind of leadership primary, campaigning up and down the country. They were here 2 weeks ago and now they're back, well, for perhaps their final debate. Welcome to David Cunliffe, Shane Jones and in Wellington, Grant Robertson. Gents, thank you for coming back. I know you've had a busy couple of weeks. The first question I want to ask you all is, as much as you've been going up and down the country talking and I guess selling yourselves to the unions and the membership of the Labor Party, I want to know from each of you what the most significant thing you have heard back from the members of the Labor Party and the unions is about what they want in Labor leadership. I'll start with you in Wellington, Grant.
In terms of the members and the affiliated unions, what they want is a unified party. I think absolutely the message 100% was they've enjoyed this process, they've enjoyed talking to us and hearing from us, but at the end of the day what they want is a Labor team that's going to take the fight to John Key, focus outwards, not inwards. And obviously that's a message that I've certainly taken on board and I'm sure the others have as well.
So Grant, that means you have also heard the message that hitherto there has been disunity within the party.
Look, I think the members have seen things that they don't like. They've seen what they perceive to be disunity, and obviously we do know there has been some problems in the past, but I believe that the caucus fully understands the need to come together now and harness the talents of the wider party and the wider Labor movement. And I do believe if we do that, we will win next year.
David Cunliffe, what have you heard back?
Well, firstly, I'd endorse everything that Grant has said there. I've got a really clear memory of looking out and seeing the eyes and the faces of those thousands of people that came to the meetings and looking at their hopes and their dreams for a Labor Party that's renewed, that can take on Key, that can win in 2014, not for ourselves but for them. And if I'm entrusted with this job, it's for them that I'm going to work my guts out and work with my colleagues and present a united front.
So again, unity was a key message you got back.
Unity for victory, victory for our people.
Shane Jones, what did you hear? What was the message you got back?
I think a lot of the message related to our behaviour as MPs. Stop your bickering. Stop inside squabbling, look out into the community, because at the end of the day that's where the 800,000 voters are. The majority of people, I think, felt that unity was beyond cavil. It was down to behaviour and conduct.
All right, well that's kind of interesting if that is the message you all heard, because this last week of your primary campaign, probably the most noteworthy news event was Clare Curran, a member of the Labor Party caucus, tweeting negatively about a member of your campaign team who you promptly fired, even though you said she'd done nothing wrong. You moved her on. I first want to ask you straight up, Grant Robertson, were you in any way involved in what Clare Curran did? Did she discuss it with you before she publicly criticised Ms Michie?
No, she didn't. I mean, she's entitled to her view, Sean, about what she perceived as going on through the campaign period. As I think you know, and as I think David and Shane know, I've focused throughout this campaign on the issues that I think are affecting New Zealanders. The availability of jobs, good housing, opportunities for children to stay here in New Zealand. And that is what I've focused on. These are not issues that I've been raising. And I believe that overall we've had a good, clean campaign. We've had a campaign that's largely focused on the issues, and that's what New Zealanders want from us. They
you
don't
said Clare
want
Curran
us
was entitled to her
ourselves.
views, Grant Robertson. Is Ms Michie not entitled to hers without being given the flick?
Look, Ms Michie's entirely entitled to her views. That's a decision David made. And
would you have made the same decision?
Well, I would have hoped very strongly that everybody in this campaign would have been able to focus on the positives of the candidates that they support. That's certainly what I believe we've all tried to do.
So Clare Curran failed on that count because she wasn't concentrating on the positive.
As I say, Clare's entitled to her views. I personally wouldn't have expressed them that way, but that's something she has to take responsibility for.
All right. You were, I guess, a bystander on this, Shane Jones, not being the one candidate not directly involved. What did you make of it? Was that a show of unity?
Well, look, it was one of the perhaps more indelicate things I said. There was a bad moon rising over Dunedin. But I think if you're going to run around the country telling the party members that you're going to unify caucus, then you need to enforce your rhetoric. I cannot imagine what possessed Clare to think that the Labour Party was going to be a winner for saying that. So I made the observation that if I'm privileged enough to be in charge, I'm going to take zero tolerance to that. That's what members have been telling us from Kaitaia to the Bluff. Makes them ho-ha. And I don't think that any caucus member should have the right to damage any further our brand in that fashion. End of story.
And you think Clare Curran did?
I've already said on TV what I think about her.
OK. And of course, David Cunliffe, you are the other person who was involved at the end of the day. Did Clare Curran have a right to express her view in that way? Isn't, in fact, the sideshow or the distraction that this provided, wasn't that entirely down to Clare Curran and what she did?
Look, there are established rules of conduct for the way that we conduct these elections. In my view, Clare probably stepped outside of those.
Broke the rules.
That's a matter now for the Leadership Advisory Group, and it's not a matter that I want to comment further on, other than to say I took the action I took to preserve the integrity of the campaign, to walk the talk that I set down for my team right at the start, which was that we have zero tolerance for anything that goes to the private.
But we talked about this on the radio earlier this week, David Cunliffe. You've said she did not. Jenny Michie did nothing wrong.
I did what I did to preserve the integrity of the campaign. I asked her to stand aside, and she's voluntarily done that. I think she took one for the team, and she did the right thing, and I appreciate that.
All right. The other issue, and Shane Jones, I'll come to you on this. Of the three contenders, you appear to have ridden the gentlemen's agreements that were clearly reached between you all about how you would campaign. You would appear to have ridden those to the boundary and sometimes beyond.
Well, I think both of my two mates know that I'm on this horse because of two reasons. I want to jolt our party so that we move beyond the fable of identity politics into the narrative of building our nation. And I think too much time has been spent on the politics of diversity and identity politics, and people in households have forgotten that we're interested in their jobs, their education, and their day-to-day living challenges. And in addition to that, I wanted to show that unless we get the 800,000 voters back into our waka, very difficult to see how we're going to govern again. So from time to time, I don't think I broke any of the constitutional rules, but this is about exposure. This is a contest of ideas, and I've never been short of a word or three in that regard.
All right, Grant Robertson, do you think you represent a development or a departure from the politics of identity?
Well, I think what I represent is a new generation of leadership. I think it's perfectly possible to believe in equality and see that as people in South Auckland getting jobs that they deserve as much as it is somebody being able, to live the life that they want to live. So I don't see any distinction in that. And I think what Shane and David both know is everywhere we've gone in New Zealand, I've stood up and talked about jobs and homes and families and futures in New Zealand for the next generation. Shane's right. They are the issues New Zealanders want us to be talking about, and they're exactly the issues I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. OK,
so you would reject the idea that you represent a continuation of the politics of identity?
I think what I represent is a new generation of leadership for Labour. I think it's time that we were able to look ahead, put behind a lot of things that have dogged us. I mean, one of the things that continued to come up as we went around the country was people's belief that the Labour Party still represents the legacy of Roger Douglas. We don't. I represent a new kind of economy where we put people first, where we actually look ahead for New Zealand. So I think I represent the best of what the Labour Party stands for.
Do you think Shane Jones...
No, Sean, let me finish. And that's equality for all New Zealanders.
Do you think Shane Jones kind of broke the rules in the campaign?
No, I think what Shane did was he, as he said, he came into this campaign with a very clear purpose, and he's a person, I think, who always sees the rules as a set of documents to be looked at.
All right. David Cunliffe, do you and Grant Robertson feel that you played by the rules pretty well and Shane didn't?
No, I think we all played pretty well by the rules. I think this has been a campaign where as candidates we've all really got to know each other, got to really appreciate the skills that each brings. I believe that I'm in the company of two very fine politicians here, and if I'm entrusted with the leadership, my primary task will be to bring them on board with a new team and to ensure that their talents are not wasted.
Just quickly too, though, you have also clearly endorsed the idea of a move away from the politics of identity. You've talked about the red tide rising.
Oh yeah, look, I think the Labour Party's founded on a very simple and a very old idea, which is that every child born in this country, no matter what parents they're born to, no matter what the colour of their skin, no matter what the size of their parents' wallet, deserves a decent chance in life. That is the principle that I'll go down fighting for. That is a principle that is core to Labour. And I don't care what you call it, I just call it a fair go. And I don't think it's about race or orientation, it's a basic fundamental moral principle. Every kid deserves a fair chance, and too many are missing out.
All right, we will continue this, and including the final pitch from each of the three contenders after the break.